This is Raven Moon. Many people ask what actually happens when a loved one dies. And I understand why people ask that question. Because when somebody we love passes away, the human part of us immediately wants answers. Where are they? Are they okay? Can they still hear me? Do they know I love them? What happens to them after they leave the body? And after decades of working as a psychic medium, I can tell you this. Death is not an ending. It is a transition of consciousness. When your loved one crosses over, there's an entire process that happens as the soul moves from the physical world back into spirit. This is why, whenever I do a crossover reading, I always encourage people to wait at least 6 weeks before trying to connect with a loved one. Now, this is not a hard and fast rule, because as a psychic medium, I can connect immediately. However, this is not because your loved one has disappeared, not because they don't love you anymore, and not because they're unable to connect, but because there's a huge adjustment happening on both sides. You have to understand that when somebody dies, the soul is separating from the physical body for the first time in that incarnation. And depending on how somebody passes, that experience can be very different. For somebody who passes peacefully in old age, there's often a gentleness to the transition. But for sudden or traumatic passings, accidents, suicides, unexpected illnesses, violence, there can initially be mass confusion. But confusion from the physical identity, the human mind, the ego, the personality that was attached to that body. It's almost as though there's a brief moment where the consciousness looks back and says, hold on, what just happened? And I always explain it like this. Imagine somebody lying in a hospital bed after surgery. Their souls begin lifting out of the body, and for a moment they're observing everything from above. They see doctors, machines, family members crying, and suddenly there's a realization. Oh, that body is not me anymore. And that moment, the understanding fully clicks. Something extraordinary happens. Freedom. Complete freedom. No pain, no illness, no exhaustion, no heaviness, no physical limitation. The soul realizes it is no longer confined to the body. Now, people often become very frightened when they hear discussions about souls becoming earthbound. But honestly, this is not nearly as common as movies and social media make it seem. Most souls naturally want to return home to spirit. Whether you call it heaven, source, the astral realm, divine consciousness, universal freedom, or something else entirely, it is ultimately the same frequency of unconditional love. And even souls who struggle to transition are never, ever abandoned. Nobody ever crosses alone. That's important for people to understand. Nobody dies alone. And once the soul fully accepts the transition, the next stage begins. Reunion. This is the most beautiful things I experienced during mediumship readings. Your loved ones are greeted by people who they knew and loved. Family members, friends, children, partners, animals. Even souls they haven't seen in decades in human time. Spirit guides come forward at this time too. And imagine the overwhelming feeling of suddenly remembering that you are deeply loved, completely safe, and fully understood. That's what many souls experience during reunion. It feels like returning home after a very, very long journey. Then comes something people often misunderstand completely. The life review. Now let me say this very clearly. The life review is not punishment. There's no giant throne in the sky where somebody is screaming at you about your mistakes. Spirit does not operate through fear the way humans do. A life review is awareness. It is the soul looking back over the incarnation and understanding the full energetic impact of that life. The soul experiences the choices it made, the love it gave, the pain it caused, the wounds it carried, the moments it healed, the moments it ran away from healing, the paths it chose, the paths it didn't choose. And perhaps most importantly, the soul understands how it affects other people emotionally by their actions, by their deeds, and by their words, not from judgment, from empathy. Because the purpose of incarnation is experience. Experience creates wisdom. And this is important to understand because who you are right now, the version you are sitting here listening to this is only one tiny fraction of your soul's total energy. Your higher self is vast, ancient, intelligent, expansive beyond what the human mind can fully comprehend. So the life review helps integrate the human experience back into the greater consciousness of the soul. After this comes healing and integration, and something incredibly important remains intact: personality. People often ask me, will my loved ones still be themselves? Yes, absolutely. That's why mediums are able to recognize spirit through humor, memories, personality traits, phrases, habits, emotional energy, and mannerisms. Your loved one's essence does not disappear, but now they exist without the limitations of the physical world. And because spirit operates through thought and intention, souls are able to create experiences aligned with what brings them joy. If they loved art or music, animals, helping people, teaching, building things, someone loved gardening, they may create incredible gardens. They continue expressing themselves through those passions. Spirit is not static. Souls continue to evolve. And something else fascinating happens. They choose how they appear. Your loved ones rarely show themselves in spirit as weak, elderly, sick, or traumatized. Why would they? They are no longer trapped in pain. Instead, they often present themselves in the version that felt most alive to them. Sometimes that means appearing younger, sometimes healthier, sometimes happier than you remember them. And often during a reading, somebody won't initially recognize who is coming through until a memory suddenly clicks. Oh my God, that's exactly how my mum or my gran looked in a holiday photo from 20 years ago. That's because spirit chooses presentation intentionally. Now here's the part many grieving people don't consider. Just as you are learning how to live without them, they are learning how to communicate with you from a completely different dimension of existence. Connection takes adjustment on both sides. Spirit communication is energetic. And although your loved ones absolutely want to reach you, they are also learning how to work with energy, signs, dreams, emotions, synchronicities, and mediumship from their side. Just like we train here, they train there. And people often ask me, what do souls actually do in spirit? Honestly, a lot. Souls continue learning, growing, studying, helping, teaching, healing, and creating. Some choose to assist children, crossing over through miscarriage or stillbirth or illness. Some work with animals. Some help souls transition after traumatic deaths. Some assist during mass wars, disasters, or massive tragedies. Some reconnect with soul families or spirit groups or cultures. Some explore higher levels of consciousness. Some simply rest and heal in the frequency of unconditional love. And for souls connected to starseed energy or other realms of consciousness, they may even reconnect with energies far beyond the earth itself. Spirit is expansive, far more expansive than human language can properly explain. So when people ask me, when is the best time to connect with my loved one in spirit? My answer is always this: give it a little time. Not because they're gone, but because there's so much happening for both of you. You are grieving, they are adjusting, and allowing space for that transition often creates a much stronger, clearer, and more healing connection later on. Because your loved one has not disappeared. They have not stopped loving you, and they have not ceased to exist. They have simply changed form.